Okay, Eric.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go. I'm leaving that in. You know I'm leaving that in. What is up, Ali G Show fam? I'm your host, Ali G, and welcome back for another track of the pod. As you all know, this podcast lives at the intersection of movement, mindset, and music. The highs, the lows, the comeback stories, the long training cycles, and the start lines that absolutely change us. They change me. I would bet they change a lot of us. So whether you are listening mid-run, mid-walk, post-workout, on your commute, or you are just soaking in some inspiration today, you are exactly where you're supposed to be, and I am so glad that you're here. Today's episode is all about Eric M. Hey, it's Eric M. We're diving into the world of RunDisney today, what it is, how it's evolved, what you need to know if you're curious, why Eric has completed so many RunDisney races, what he has coming up this spring. I'm not going to spoil it for you all, and much more on RunDisney from Eric. And at the center of it all, we talk a lot about the legendary Dopey challenge, which is 48.6 miles over 4 days, and how tackling that in 2023 reshaped Eric's running journey in ways he never expected. So lace up, grab your headphones, and let's get into it. Eric, this has been a long time coming. I am so excited to finally have you on the pod. I know so many people will see themselves in your story and what I know about you and what you are willing to share. And I am just so grateful that you are willing to be here and you're willing to share. So yeah, welcome to the Ali G Show.
Thank you. Listen, 3 or 4 hours of chatting with my favorite Ali.
Literally.
It's great. So what can you do?
Yeah. I'm so excited for this. I can't wait to hear all the stories because like I said, I know you and I know about you, but I didn't know the capacity to which you actually did Disney races. And I know that that's going to be primarily our conversation today. But before we dive into the Disney races and the medals and the challenges and the Dopey challenge and Peloton, because we obviously have to talk about Peloton and your training of it all, I would love for everybody listening to really know who I'm sitting down with. So Eric, why don't you start by telling the listeners who you are and where you're from and what your life looks like outside of running?
Sure. I realized when I was kind of looking at your outline, I was like, I don't think I have a life outside of running, which is kind of scary.
Same.
Because it's especially because I've constantly been in training now since I feel like 2023. I'm like, ooh, there's nothing outside of running. But so my name is Eric Mochnacz, if you're European. I'm 43 years old. I live in Woodridge, New Jersey. It's a small suburb right outside of New York City. I am 43. I am single. I have a good credit score. Looking for 6'2", 6'3", man in finance. Looks good with his shirt off. Works out, but likes to eat. Oh wait, this isn't like a dating pod.
I mean, you know what? I think just turned into one. So
to the Ali G listeners,
what applications are open? Okay.
They are. Slide
DM
into
me
those DMs.
And I'll vet you. And then I'll pass you along to Eric.
Yeah, but they're going to have to send a shirtless picture to you. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, cool.
I'd be fine with that.
I mean, listen, I'm not shallow.
Listen, it's for a good cause. It's for my favorite Eric. So
it is. And then so when I'm not running, I do work as a director of organizational development for a HR consulting firm called Red Clover. We do outsourced HR for small and medium-sized businesses. Also, plug there, if you're a small business owner and need HR help, reach out to me as well. Slide into those DMs. But I mean, honestly, outside of that, it's I go to work. It's a hybrid work environment. So sometimes I work from home, sometimes I go into the office, and then it feels like I come home, I train, whether it be, running, a strength workout, rest day, cook, and then kind of do it all over again. I mean, I love to read. I'm always reading. I'm always reading a physical book and then listening to an audiobook. Mm-hmm. And then I like to go to my local bar. I like to cook. But I'm a pretty chill guy. I'm a homebody for sure. Love movies, love horror movies. So I'm always kind of watching, new movies that come out. And I'm a bit of a reality TV guy, so love Survivor, love
Me
Traitors.
too.
Yeah, so Survivor 50 premieres tonight, so it's very
I
exciting.
know. I
Yeah,
know.
I'm ready. So that's a little about me in a nutshell.
I love that. What an intro and so much good background info. Is there anything outside of that that people might be surprised to know about you?
Well, I was thinking about this because I feel like I mean, if you follow me on Instagram, you pretty much, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
The thing that I think surprises people, like when they get to know me, is that I'm an introvert and I don't do well in social settings where I don't really know people.
Hmm.
But what is interesting, when people kind of invite me in, I immediately kind of go into this mode of like asking questions to get to know the other people, to learn about them. And then people are like, "Oh my gosh, Eric, like you're so charming, you're so outgoing, you made me feel so welcome." And I'm like, "Just so you know, I was screaming inside the entire time because it's
Yeah.
so outside of my comfort zone." And I think sometimes people kind of see that, at Peloton and things like that, where like I'll just kind of like sit in a corner and everyone starts coming to talk to me. And I'm like, all right, gotta switch it on. But I just
Hmm.
think, and even like people will probably listen to our conversation and be like, Eric's an introvert. He doesn't know how to talk to people. But I know you and I trust
Hmm.
you, and we've
Hmm.
had tons of conversations. So I just think that is something that surprises people once they get to know me, that like I am not as social as I come across.
Yeah. I was actually surprised when I first met you that you were, when you told me that exact story, because
Mhm.
I feel like you and I hit it off right away. It was like a lot. I feel like I saw you on the leaderboard a bunch and we were on Instagram for a little bit. And then when we finally got to connect in person, I'm like, oh my God, wait, we're like having the best conversation ever. And I just wanted to know so much more about you. But you're like, no, I'm totally an introvert.
But I think I also sensed a kin, like I sensed a fellow, where
Hmm.
it was like you kind of walked in and you were like, "Hi, everyone," and I was like, "Hi, everyone." I was like, "Ooh, I have another
Sounds like
damaged,
me.
yeah, another scared bird." So I was like, "Oh, look, like you have a pasta tattoo. Let's talk about that."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because then if I were to reflect back, I really tried to like center you in that conversation because I could sense like you were feeling it out, I was feeling it out. So I was like, you know what, fine.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
part of it is like I'm the older one in the group, so I feel like I kind of have that responsibility to be like, oh, come under my wing, my little baby, it's okay.
Yeah. And I'm the young baby that everybody makes fun of.
You
So
are.
that's really a fun dynamic. No, it's such a great group. And truly, like I think everybody kind of experiences that at some point. Like I'm very extroverted, but I can also be very introverted. Like when I am feeling shy, like I'm feeling shy. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't know anybody here. I don't know how to insert myself in any conversation here." And then on the other hand, I have this podcast and I just talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. You know? So
Yeah, yeah.
it's all about balance. But I love that, and I love that we got connected and we got to share that moment, and I love that we made each other feel comfortable. That's what
Yeah.
matters, you know.
And every time I make a cavatappi dish, I think of you, or I see a pasta meme.
I
It's
know, I
Ali G
know.
comes right to mind.
We're gonna have to work that into this conversation
Mm-hmm.
at some point.
We will.
You're like,
We
yeah,
will.
I already have
Sure.
plans.
Yeah.
Okay, well, before we talk about pasta, because we know we're going to talk about it, I would love to start at the very beginning. You have talked very openly about growing up as the fat kid in a youth sports family in the 90s, and I that is a direct quote. I That is not my interpretation of Eric.
Nope. That is
Putting the
that
disclaimer
is
out there.
that is my words.
Those are Eric's words. And yeah, and then coming of age, like during peak Abercrombie culture as a gay man, like, can you paint that picture for us and paint what like youth sports culture looked like and where you grew up and what the expectation was around, men or boys in athletics?
Yeah, so I did grow up in the 1900s. That's kind of crazy. The
I
the
actually
late
only
1900s.
saw a few years of the 1900s.
Yeah, the late 1900s. So like I said, I'm 43 years old, so I was born in the 80s. So really kind of
Mm.
grew up late 80s, early 90s, and then high school and college in the early 2000s. And I think if I were to reflect back, I think in like the late 80s, early 90s, like that was the time when soccer was like big. Like soccer all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden became big because I think it was the first time was the World Cup in the US or like the World Cup for whatever reason was suddenly on a world stage where
Mm-hmm.
people didn't necessarily just think soccer was like a European sport. Like there was just something that, and I think maybe it was, and I don't know the players at the time because again, not a sports kid, but
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like there was something in the 90s where you just kind of it soccer became the big thing and we were mainly a soccer family, right? So soccer and basketball. My younger sister was kind of a soccer and basketball star. My older brother was a soccer and basketball star.
Mm-hmm.
My older sister played soccer like in high school, but we were like out of all the youth sports, I think soccer was like our family sport. And it was actually the one that I enjoyed most. Like they tried baseball, I hated it.
Yeah.
Basketball was like fine, but whatever. We were never going to be a football family, like ever.
Yeah.
My parents were like, absolutely not. We're not like, you are not putting yourself in harm's way. So I think we all just naturally gravitated towards soccer. And I liked soccer.
Mm-hmm.
But like I remember even like at one point, one of the coaches and we did like town soccer, youth soccer. And I remember at one point, like this really like talented soccer player from Greece moved next door to like my soccer coach. So all of a sudden this guy, like who's, this Greek soccer star who like doesn't have any kids is all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden coaching like our team. Right. And
Right.
it's like, what, why? And I think the other thing is I think that also kind of came the point where parents started to realize like, oh my gosh, could we cultivate this kid to get like a college scholarship? Like I don't know what it was, but it was just something about that time where it just felt the pressure was like tenfold. And then
Mm-hmm.
like in my family, my mom was definitely the intense mom, like on the sidelines, like cheering. My dad was kind of the angry dad, like had to be asked to leave a few games, but that's a topic for a whole other podcast, like a therapy podcast. But like there was just something there. So for me, and like I said, and I say this word without putting any value on it, but I was a fat kid. Like I was overweight, I was chubby, I was festively plump, whatever you want to say. And it was hard because I enjoyed playing youth sports, specifically soccer.
Mm-hmm.
But when like your best friend is like the town soccer star, like there's just no comparing, right?
Right.
And I'll
Right.
always remember, and because I mean, Woodridge is a 1 square mile town, right? Like
Yeah.
we are a
Yeah.
very small town. So you played soccer and you played sports with the same kids throughout your entire childhood. Even if I went to the Catholic school, they went to the public school, this was like the one area where we mixed. And
Right.
I just remember like growing up next to these kids and they would get kind of all the attention. And just because I was a little bigger, I didn't look athletic. Maybe I had been caught kind of like picking flowers in the outfield during baseball. Like just because I wasn't so passionate about all these other sports, it kind of
Right.
carried over into the soccer field.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll always remember one of our coaches, he had like driven me to practice once because my mom couldn't. And he like we're walking to practice and he looks at me, he goes, Eric, do you run? And I'm like, no. He goes, you should. Now, he wasn't saying that out of concern about my athletic ability.
Okay.
And it was a very different time.
Yeah.
But he was saying it because, like, Eric, you're chubby. You should probably run to lose weight,
Well,
right?
that's
Like, it
why
was
my
just,
face was like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
because
100%.
for those that are watching, it's shocking. It truly is. It was,
Right. And back in the day, like that, and
right.
like even if we were to go back, like I was thinking about this, like even like my grandparents, my mom was well intentioned,
Mm-hmm.
right? She didn't want me to be made fun of. She wanted me to like maybe get a girlfriend. That's funny, right? But like I think she wanted me to be accepted. And then I have my
Yeah.
my Irish grandmother who always said I was big as a house, but then my Polish grandmother was always making sure I'm well fed. So
Right.
there was just a lot going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you take that and then growing up and ultimately realizing as I'm heading to college that I'm gay. And that was like peak Abercrombie,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm also in this position where it's like, okay, I go away to college, kind of want to reinvent myself. And then you just have, the gay mafia on campus whose main goal was to use AOL to like out people. And they're like making fun of you on campus because you're like a larger dude who can't shop at Abercrombie, right? And then meanwhile, I'm like walking past Abercrombie because you have all the hot models who are standing outside,
Well, yeah,
right? Like,
of course.
yeah, the white hot Netflix documentary about Abercrombie was like equally like nostalgic, but also triggering because it created such this crazy body ideal that I was like, I am never gonna meet. And like
Mm-hmm.
it just there was just a lot of like body image stuff that kind of carried through into my like early adulthood that all kind of started with youth sports. Um
Yeah.
and one last story is like I'll always remember the time that I was like, no, I'm done with youth sports. I don't want to compete in a sport when it gets too competitive, right? Like I'm happy
Right.
playing, but when it starts becoming too competitive, I'm just like, I'm not interested. I tried out for an indoor soccer team. I loved indoor soccer.
Mm-hmm.
I
Me
thought
too.
it was like,
It was
it
so
was the
fun.
coolest sport, right? Smaller
Yeah.
team, smaller area to run around, like greater opportunity to play. And I tried out for this traveling indoor soccer team and I was really excited about it. And I didn't make the team. And then
Oh,
I remember my mom saying to me, well, we should stay for the game. And I was like, absolutely not. I
no.
want to go. There's a new
I want to
episode of
go
Are You
home.
Afraid of the Yeah, I was like, there's a new episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark on Snick tonight?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to do. I don't want to watch this team. And I think that's where I really shifted from this idea of like, listen, I'm okay being active, but
Mm-hmm.
one, I want someone's going to have to guide me for it to be productive. But
Right.
like, I don't want it to get to the point where it becomes super competitive and I don't feel welcome.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like, ugh, it makes me so sad to hear all of that. But I mean, so happy, of course, knowing where you're at now. But I feel like so many of those little things that like your coaches said or parents said or your grandparents said for anybody, it like just emphasizing how much those comments actually stick with you and how they're carried with you for literally forever. Like I can't even tell you how many times like my aunts and my grandparents used to say make comments about me and they'd be like, "Oh, you're eating so late and you're going to gain weight cuz you're eating so late at night." And I'm like, "Girl, I just ran around the soccer field for 90 minutes. Like I'm
I
fucking
know.
starving." You know what
I
I mean?
know.
And you're just like it just puts this unnecessary pressure on kids and it makes me so sad when it obviously it's always going to carry over, but it just makes me especially sad knowing that it like carries on with people.
Well, and I think, and I think it's probably present today too, is there's this perception of like, just because my body is larger and takes up more space, I think there was this perception among coaches that I wasn't interested and that I wasn't willing, right? Like that
Right.
there was something about the fact that my genetics, like, and sure, yeah, like probably some of what I ate, but again, a kid my age shouldn't have to be worrying so much about what he ate, you know,
Right.
like,
Right.
it's kind of this early perception of like diet culture, but like that's the unfortunate thing is these coaches kind of assumed something about me as like a person or about my drive or about my willingness to give effort just because I looked different or I didn't look like
Mm-hmm.
what they expected a typical soccer player to look like. And that does kind of stick with you as you grow up because then like I said, moving into college and wanting to be out and wanting to be part of the gay community, you then have more gatekeepers who are saying you don't look like you're supposed to look,
Right.
right? So it's I think it's something that definitely sticks with people. And I even have like a funny story. Like I remember my one grandma, my mom's mom, like would always kind of, oh, Eric, you're as big as a house and blah 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 blah. Like and she like that like
It's the
listen,
culture. I part of it, and I
right,
do not
right.
mean to. I don't want to like discount the fact that it probably hurt your feelings, and I know it might have hurt your feelings. But it's like sometimes I just have to take a step back when I hear something, and I see it like with my cousins and like their kids now, and like their parents are making comments about their
Yeah.
kids, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's so generational, and it's just like they do not know how to bite their tongue at certain
No, and like
times. It's just how
right,
they
and
grew
like
up.
and like that's the thing. Like and she had always kind of had issues with her weight, and there was just a lot of like,
Hmm.
in her growing up in like the 20s, 30s, whenever it was, like there was just a lot of shame. Like that's how you
Hmm.
got things done. You shamed your children.
So insane.
Um, but after I had lost a significant amount of weight, I remember coming home from college one day and she looks at me, she goes, your arms are as thin as broomsticks. And I was like, I can't win. I cannot win.
You can't win. That's how you
I
know it's
cannot
so out
win.
of love. It's so
Right.
out of love, and care, even though it comes across the wrong way. And
Yep.
that's so funny. You're like, well, I'm throwing in the towel.
Yeah.
It's done. I'm
Yep.
just gonna maintain and be whatever you want me to be, is
Yep.
basically what it always boiled down to, at least for me and my like the comments I used to hear from my whole
Yep.
family, you know. So when did, like, after all of that and out, did you like run in college, or when did running enter your life? Like, was this way later? How did that whole thing evolve? Like, walk me
I
through
think I
that.
probably, yeah, I think I probably visited the campus gym maybe like 4 times
Hmm.
in my career when I was in college.
Also,
And one of
another
the,
horrible space to work out, in my opinion.
yeah, well,
Everybody's so
and
judgy.
so here's a fun story. So there's a YouTube creator named Davey Wavy, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I went to college with Davey Wavy. Davey Wavy is this beautiful, like gorgeous man, like amazing body. So I like imagine going. So the one time I remember the one time I went to the gym, he was there and like he's just doing all the weight machines and his body is perfect. And I'm like, bloop, 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 on the treadmill wanting to die. And then
Hmm.
at the same time, my crush was there as well. And I was like, oh my God, my head's going to explode. I'm trying to run and it is
Ah.
not like, but yeah. So how did running enter my life? So there did come a point in like I think after my sophomore year. So I was an RA in college, and my hall director, so my boss, had like come back after the summer, and she lost a lot of weight.
Hmm.
And she talked about how she had joined Weight Watchers, right? So I decided I went home that summer and I was like, fine, I'm gonna try it. If it worked for her, I'm gonna try it, right? Now, mind you, at that point, and still even now, I think Weight Watchers is really for like 40-plus-year-old women. So imagine
Hmm.
being like a 20-year-old
Yeah.
20-year-old man going into these meetings. But I will say, like, it is the first time in my life I ever lost weight. Like, I remember going to the first meeting and losing 5 pounds, and that had
Hmm.
never happened, right?
Hmm.
So around that time, I think like the first summer I got home, I lost like 30 pounds,
Wow.
and then you come back and everyone's like, oh my God, you look so great, blah, 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 blah. But it
Hmm.
was just by how I still did not move. I still was not active. Like I didn't do that. I was like, I don't need to do that.
Right.
Um, and then obviously going back to school, you can't really watch what you're eating in the dining hall. So like through life, and I think anyone who does any type of like diet plan or like tries to change how they're eating, like weight goes up and down, right? So then I
Yeah.
would go home, and then I remember graduating college, and that was when like I hit like 50 pounds lost, right? Like I
Hmm.
lost 50 pounds. I was skinny, but I had no idea that I was skinny. I
Right.
worked in retail at that point. I worked at American Eagle. And I remember my manager coming to me and she was like, Eric, you need to get new jeans. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you have really bad sag ass. I'm like, what is it? She's like, your jeans don't fit you. I had no idea, even losing that weight, that I had gone from like a size 38 waist to a size 32. Like, it's
Yeah.
just not something
I
that ever
mean,
dawned on me, right?
hmm, it's amazing that you were able to do it,
Right.
but
But
I
like I
mean,
had no idea. Right. And to that
yeah.
end, I was able to fit into a Hollister shirt at that point, which again, I was never able to
Ooh.
fit into Abercrombie, but at least I could fit into Hollister. It was an extra large and I was
Dare I
180 pounds.
say,
But
dare I say, fuck Abercrombie? Just
well,
kidding.
I
As a
listen,
supporter now, I feel
right.
bad saying it.
That is your sponsorship deal throughout the window. But like, so long story longer, which you'll hear me say a lot throughout our discussion, is so then I went and I got a job at Monmouth University, and like again, living by myself, weight up, weight down, weight up, weight down, made a lot of good friends there. And I remember one year, like, because everyone knew, like, oh, this isn't fitting, and really have to manage my weight, and other people were doing Weight Watchers too. So then one
Hmm.
year I was just like, listen, I need to get back to like my goal weight, and I want to stay there. And my friend Chris goes, well, why don't you train for a half marathon? So this was in 2008, 2009. And I was like, all right. So he got me to sign up for the Long Branch Half Marathon. And that is the first time that I ever really ran in earnest. But
Wow.
this was crazy. Chris, so we lived Monmouth University's in Long Branch. We're by the Sandy Hook. We lived by Sandy Hook, which has a really nice
Hmm.
like um, running bike path.
Hmm.
Chris says, let's all go for a run. Ali G. I had never run more than maybe 3 miles on a treadmill in my life, if that.
Hmm.
I tried to run 10 miles.
Okay, how'd it go? Do you remember?
I One, I went out way too fast, had
Mm.
no water, had no fuel. We got back that night. We all went to like Chili's or whatever. I must have had heat exhaustion. I might have even had like rhabdo or something because I could not drink enough water. I was in pain. I couldn't eat enough. My first time attempting to run, I ran 10 miles. What
Wow.
was I thinking?
That's why you're a rock star. I mean, yeah,
I
what were you thinking is right, but I mean, if it kicked off this whole new era for you, I love that. Because to your
yeah,
like I feel like everybody has a moment. I mean, I don't want to generalize, but I feel like many people have moments where it's just like I'm just like screw it, I'm going to do it because if I don't do it, I'm never going to believe that I can do it. I know
yeah.
that like sounds like a tongue twister, but it's true. I really truly believe that. Like not saying that you wouldn't have gotten there eventually, but I think like doing something like that as crazy as it is and yeah, maybe you did have rhabdo. Don't advise. But
Definitely do not
don't
advise. It
not
was so
advise, do not
hot.
recommend,
I
but
was
like you
red.
did it.
Oh my God, I could not drink enough water at Chili's that night. Like, and I could not eat. It was so bad. I was like, this is probably not advisable.
Yeah.
Um,
But you
but
did
yeah,
it.
so then, yeah. And honestly, like, it's crazy because I did all my training on a treadmill.
Mhm.
Because one, I didn't want to go outside because I was worried about
Mhm.
what people would think about me running.
Mhm.
And like if you think about it, this was in 2009. This was almost 20 years ago. Things were
Yeah.
so different back then. Like social media was not what it is. Like there was like I literally found my training schedule on a random website. It was like a
Mhm.
Microsoft publisher calendar that I printed out. That was like 3 miles on this day, 3.5 miles on this.
Publisher.
Right. Like
That's
and
crazy.
the like you didn't have like Instagram wasn't a thing. So
Yep.
it was so hard to find good running guidance. And I lived in Long Branch at the time and it was still kind of going through this kind of revitalization. So one, running outside may not have necessarily been the safest for me. The
Mhm.
other thing too is I worked in housing, so I was always on call. So I was
Mhm.
always worried that I would get too far away and then there'd be an urgent call and I'd have to run back to my building to address it,
True.
which was not good. Plus, I had to carry two phones. So where the hell was I going to put them? And I don't know if this is true. This might just be revisionist history. I think I still had like a Discman at that point. So how does one run with a disc?
Whoa. If
How
you
does
ran with
one
a
run with a
Discman,
Discman? I there's something where
yo,
I very
crazy.
clearly remember trying to like run outside or something, and one
Mhm.
the pockets weren't big enough. But
Right.
again, maybe I'm like messing up my years, but like you couldn't walk with a Discman because it would hit against your thigh and it would skip.
Right.
Eventually, I did get an iPod, but like Garmin
Yeah.
wasn't a thing, and that is why I did training on the treadmill because Garmin. I didn't know what Garmin was. I didn't know you could have a
Mhm.
watch that told you how far you'd run. So like the treadmill was the only thing that would tell me how far I run. I didn't know what speed work was. I didn't know that people like ran 5Ks and 10Ks first. Like
Oh, me
none of
either.
that was, yeah, none of that was available to me. So it's
Right.
literally like, all right, go down to the treadmill, watch the Food Network on the treadmill, because if you knew that you were half an hour through like Rachel Ray, you only had 15 minutes left to go.
Mhm.
Like, so I did all this training on a treadmill,
Wow.
and the day of the race, downpour, like
No.
downpour. I
Of
had
course.
never
Of course.
trained in the rain, and here I was, my first half marathon, just rain the entire time.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So what were you thinking when you what like got to the start line?
So I had the funny thing is, and I can probably send you a picture. I was like, all right. I mean, I had my athletic, like my Monmouth University shirt that I got from the bookstore. That was like the only weather, like the only moisture wicking shirt they had. It was like MU
Mhm.
football. Okay.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
had I
Not a
had like
football guy.
no, I had these long, like, like the long, like gym shorts, like below the knee
Mhm.
gym shorts with like the drawstring, the mesh gym shorts.
Oh
And
my god.
I had worn this thermal shirt, like this thermal waffle Henley that I had always had that I considered my fat shirt
Mhm.
because once I lost all the weight, it started to fit like a dress. And I used that as like kind of like symbolism, but also to like keep me covered.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I was like, listen, if the race is still on, so I kind of ran in the rain. And I finished, I
Wow.
think I finished in like 2:45. I ran the entire
Amazing.
thing, never stopped to walk. And
Wow.
that definitely started it. Like that
Yeah.
is when I was like, okay, I am a runner. I want to do this. This is how I'm going to kind of complement eating well. And that is a long story about my first race.
Wow. I love that. I think so many people come on, and me being one of the so many people come on and they're like, I did a color run, I did a Tough Mudder. Not that that's a knock, but I just feel like that's everybody's like
Yep.
slow intro into actually running like a 5K that's not a color run, and where you're like not swimming through mud during a half marathon. So it's actually really refreshing to hear that you kind of just went in and
Yeah.
jumped right in to the half.
Yeah.
So when did this like next era start for you? Like the Run Disney, what was it after that that kept you going? Like were you like, I have goals now in this space, or was it more so I want to stay in shape, I want to keep losing weight, I want to keep, being more fit in that era for you?
Yeah.
Like what was it that kind of kept you going?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a combination of all those things, right? Like
Yeah.
it was for my mental health. It gave me something to do. It kept me active. I would probably say like if you were to look at the pictures from like the 2009 and 2010 like Long Branch Half, because I ran that one for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
there was definitely some changes that the running wasn't definitely helping me keep the weight off, and I was probably like
Yeah.
and the 2010 year was like humid and disgusting and hot, and I hated it. But like
Yeah. Yeah.
there was always this kind of desire to be like, all right, like how do I find the balance in my life to inhabit a body that I'm comfortable with, that kind of like as shallow as it was, that like people find attractive. And I'm well beyond that now in my 40s, but like there was
Mhm.
just a lot going on, especially living so close to Asbury Park and all that type of stuff. And
Yeah.
in your 20s and 30s, you're trying to find a partner, a mate, whatever, date, have fun.
Mhm.
So I think probably what happened is like around 2012. So my one cousin has cystic fibrosis.
Mhm.
And when I was living in Long Branch, my cousins who live in Point Pleasant would always be like, oh, well, we're doing Great Strides, which is a walk for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
Yeah.
So I remember showing up to, I guess, the walk in 2012, and all my cousins were there. And I said, and I think at that point I had signed up had at least run maybe the Disney half marathon at that point. So my first Disney race was in 2012, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But
Mhm.
either way, I remember showing up to Great Strides, and my cousin Matt says to me, he's like, "Oh, you run a lot," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Listen, I'm running the New York Marathon with Team Boomer, which is the Boomer Esiason Foundation. His
Mhm.
son Gunnar has cystic fibrosis." They're like, "Listen, if you want to run the marathon, join Team Boomer, and we'll donate your first $500."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "Huh." Now, mind you, Eric on the soccer field, who didn't run, all of a sudden kind of having the opportunity to run the New York Marathon, which was like crazy at the time,
Yeah.
right?
And like few and far between for a lot of people at that
Right.
time, especially too.
Yes. So I was like, okay, so like it took some time, and I was like, fine, I'll do it. Matt and Michelle kind of got me started in the fundraising. So that was kind of, I think, and I was getting to be 30. So I was kind of like nearing that time. I was going
Mhm.
through a lot of transition in my life, like was maybe looking for a new job. So I feel like that was just something that kind of kept me sane, and like I was able to kind of keep the weight off. So I was definitely more serious about running. So at that point, my friend Chris, the same one who was like run the Long Branch Half, he's like, you should do a Disney race. And
Mhm.
he had done the Goofy Challenge before, which is the half marathon and the full marathon on Walt Disney World Marathon weekend. So I was like, fine. So I remember signing up for the Disney World half marathon in 2012. Then
Mhm.
you kind of combine that with the fact that I was supposed to run the New York Marathon in 2012. So 2012 is, I think, when I really like got into it.
Mhm.
And then 2013, 2014 were also really big years for me. So
Yeah.
like I feel like there just kind of came a point where it was like, all right, this is my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And this is something that people do. Like they don't just do one race a year.
Right.
Um, yeah, I ran the Disney World half marathon, and a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I want to do it with you." So me and her, we went down, and we had a friend who was a spectator. So that was
Mm-hmm.
my first Disney marathon. And then obviously I was supposed to run the New York Marathon in 2012, but Hurricane Sandy hit.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they hadn't canceled it, Monmouth University is right on the water, and I was
Right.
responsible for the 3 apartment complexes on the water. My
Oh, so you had to
apartment was
stay?
on the water. Yeah, we evacuated, and I stayed on off campus with a colleague. So
Yeah.
like I had to stay, and like I would have had no idea how to get into the city and like all that type of stuff.
Right.
Um, and then in the interim, so I was like, all right, fine. So then I said to Team Boomer, I said, listen, I'll run New York in 2013. Like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
In the interim, I had signed up for the Disney Marathon for 2013. So that ended up
Was
being
that
my
the
first
start of the
marathon.
big year? Oh, wow.
I think so, because I finished the Disney Marathon in a stunning 6 hours and 19 minutes.
Hell yeah.
I had
First marathon.
spent the night before drinking at my resort with the winner of Survivor China,
Wow.
who
Wait,
six
that's
months
so
later,
fun.
well, 6 months later, he was on Dr. Phil for being a raging alcoholic. So I felt
Oh,
kind of
okay. Okay.
bad.
I take that back.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
Awkward.
it was a dream come true. Like I love
Yeah.
Survivor, so to me, like, and he was the nicest guy, and we had a good time. But like, and again, this goes to show you, like, when I talk about Run Disney later, like I was 30, like I could get away with stuff like that,
Yeah.
like staying up till 11 and then running a marathon the next day. But I paid for it because it was not a fun time.
It's
It's
not, it's
not a
never
good
fun.
experience. No, so yeah, that was kind of the start. Like again, Chris encouraging me, hey, do the Disney half, and then it kind of,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did the Tower of Terror 10 miler between that and the marathon, and it just kind of snowballed from there. 2013 to
So fun.
2014, 2013, 2014, I did a lot of New York Roadrunner races, New York City
Mm-hmm.
half, Brooklyn half, and again, like it was very different back then. Like
Yeah.
there
I
was
was
no
going to say, like,
social media was not what it is now.
and you didn't have to enter a lottery, did you? I bet you just signed up.
No, yep, you just signed
Yeah. I
up.
mean, that's insane. I can't even imagine a world that's like that. Backtracking for a second, it's funny you brought up like the drinking, because when I first started running, I don't know if I've actually ever said this on the pod, but I'm sure I have in passing. But when I first started running, I no joke would like I was like 23, 24, like really competitively with myself. I obviously was like early 20s, was going out, like I was in grad school, I was going out with friends, I was drinking. I can't even
Mm-hmm.
tell you how many races I showed up to like hungover, and
Yeah.
I felt like absolute shit.
Uh-huh.
Absolute shit. So I don't
Yeah.
even know how you did that for the first one.
And like
I paid the
I
price
didn't,
for sure.
well, and I didn't like I didn't know about like fueling. Like I didn't understand
I
any
know.
of that stuff. Like that stuff just wasn't available. Like, and I remember
Like
one
it
day,
being not available is crazy compared to like what we have now, where we pretty much have a lot at our fingertips and
yeah,
people just still don't care.
like
Or
the
maybe it's just that
biggest,
they don't, and maybe it's not that they don't care. I take that back. It's more so that like maybe some don't care, maybe some are just not educated on like what their body actually needs to function at that caliber. But it's
yeah.
just the comparison is wild.
Like I remember like back in that day, I think in order to actually get like decent guidance, you actually needed to go to like a physical like Fleet Feet store. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that was probably the only type of guidance that I had ever gotten, was went to one of those running stores that does like a gait assessment and tells you what type of shoe you should run in. Like
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. And I
Yeah.
even remember the first time I went running with Mariana Fernandez in Central Park, she was like, all right, well, where are you going to put your water? And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, if I'm not running, like if I'm not running for more than an hour, if I'm running up to an hour, I don't bring water. And she
Yeah.
was like, what? She was like, you don't fuel? I was like, no.
I know.
And that's that.
We've been on plenty of 20 milers where she looks at me and she's like, girl, like what is wrong with you? You're like a camel. I'm just
That
like, I
has
don't need it. I need it, but
that
I don't want it.
right. That has like, and again, it's crazy thinking that I trained for, and I went through like training for the Long Branch half in 2009 up until like, I would say even when I started training for Dopey, I didn't bring water
Mm-hmm.
with me. It
Mm-hmm.
was a weird thing. And like, I'm sure if the internet was what it was 20 years ago, I would have been hydrating like crazy. But you had
Yeah.
to like actively seek out that information rather than having it readily at your fingertips.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so wild. So wild to me. And I'll be honest with you, I still don't bring water. So I obviously don't learn anything, even with the internet.
Yeah.
I need to though. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. All right. So I'm gonna jump ahead here because I can't wait to
Okay.
hear about this. Because we have obviously have so much to talk about.
I
Literally so
know.
much to talk about. I'm so excited to hear about every Run Disney race. So I will go through the list of what you have run, and you feel free to be like, Allie, you're wrong. That wasn't right. Allie, you're wrong. That wasn't right. You send
No,
it to me though,
listen,
so I think it's
as
right.
right. This I will tell you, I don't really, how there are people, and I appreciate people who like update their Instagram bio with like this many halves, this many marathons, blah 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 blah.
Oh,
Like
I can't.
I've
I can't.
never done that, but knowing that I was going to be a very special guest on the Ali
You
G show,
are the
but it
specialist.
was good to take an inventory of my medals. Like it
Yeah.
was like kind of this really nice walk down memory lane to really think
Hmm.
like this is insane. So I
Yeah.
appreciated the exercise. So to the best of my knowledge, this is accurate, and obviously this does not include all my races not associated with Disney. But
Okay. I
go
love
on,
that.
continue.
One day when you come back, because I hope you'll come back on the pod. I'm already brainstorming what our next track is going to be.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Let's
Um,
go.
let's go. Okay. So, well, actually, no. I want to back up for a second because now we're yapping. We're yapping. I kind of love this. Might be a hot take, and I maybe should save this for later in the episode when I ask you for your hot take. But I actually really enjoy, as cheesy as it is, as corny as it is, I actually really enjoy sometimes like going through my medals and going through my, and it's not even really the medals, it's more like going through the bibs and just looking at them and being like, oh my God, like this time I felt like shit. This time I had like the best race ever. The United Half in 2023, I PR'd. It was literally like I was over the moon, so excited. Like it's just so fun to kind of go through your medals, your bibs, your race photos, whatever you want to go through to kind of, reminisce. I feel like everybody needs to do that once in a while. It kind of brings me a little bit of motivation, a little inspiration. I don't know.
No, I think it definitely like going through it reminds me, and it was even some like races where I'm like, oh yeah, I ran that. Oh, how about that? Like,
Yeah. Cause you
like
forget.
things right. Like like I had done a warrior dash early on, and like, oh, I remember this and like the mud and all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like going, I have a bib holder. And then even early on in my running, my mom would buy all my, like for Christmas, her Christmas gift for me, she would buy all the race pictures because
Oh,
I was making
wait,
like
that's really,
27. Yeah, because I was making like $27,000 a year. I couldn't afford race pictures,
yeah.
but I also laugh because the one race year she didn't buy was the Brooklyn half the year I did it because it was amateur hour. It was so hot that I forgot, like I didn't download like a playlist, so like it was relying on Wi-Fi like signal to like play the songs, which I have to run with music, so that was an
Yeah.
issue. I think it was the first time I wanted to try Spotify and it didn't work for me, so I didn't like it. And I forgot my nipple guards,
Oh no.
so all of my pictures, I am just
Blood.
bleeding. Yeah, and
Oh,
like even like the finisher picture, like with my medal, I was like, "Can you take it?" And he did not. So that when you reflect, and I look at some of the pictures that she had given me, I also reflect back on the pictures that I don't have because I forgot
yep.
my nipple guards. Yeah.
That is insane.
Yep.
I mean, I'm happy that you didn't buy those. You know what's funny too? Another side note, and then I promise I'll shut up and I'll ask you the next question. um, the first year I ran Boston, this might be a TMI. So for people listening, if you want to stop listening to me and
People know I have bloody
carry
nipples. It's fine. Sensitive
on, I
nipples.
know. I don't have sensitive nipples, but I will say the first year I did Boston when it was so hot, it was like so soupy outside. I had such bad chafing on like the under part of my bra, like right
Mm.
under my boobs. And the way that it was, I was wearing, of course, I was wearing white. I never wear white. And
Yep.
now it's a new thing. Every time, like, I wear white, fell on the West Side Highway, blood everywhere. I bled
Yep.
during the Boston Marathon. The way that the blood was on my shirt, it looked like my nipples were bleeding. And I'm like, this is so awkward. Like, this happens to men. Why is this happening to me? I was
Mm-hmm.
freaking out. And like, I only realized when my sister was taking a picture of me. Shout out Kate. And she's like, are you good? And I was like, I don't know. I can't feel half my body right now because it's like 90 degrees and I kind of want to die.
Yep.
So yeah, I think I did buy those pictures, but none of them have the blood because I think it happened after.
Well, now you can just Photoshop it out, so that's even better.
Well, that's right. AI is like taking over.
Yeah. Get rid of the blood.
AI, like magic erase. All right.
Yep.
Anyway, carrying on now that I've yapped for 10 minutes. I would love to go through the ones you've ran, of course, the RunDisney races. I would love for you to give some background on the whole RunDisney scene,
Okay.
what the different race weekends are like, what people can choose from in terms of like challenges and just individual races. But I would also love to hear some I don't want you to have horror stories, but if you have like some bad memories, some good memories, like I want to hear it all because you have literally run 48 in-person Disney races. Your 50th is coming up in April, that was my wheels turning. I'm like, Eric's going to have to come back after his 50th.
Yes.
You've done 33 virtual races, 14 RunDisney challenges, 5 coast to coast challenges, 5 marathons, and 31 half marathons.
Yep.
Give me everything you got. I want your favorite.
Right.
I want your least favorite.
Okay.
I want the wake up. I want everything.
Okay.
Everything RunDisney.
Hello, friends. Welcome to a brief, not so brief history of RunDisney.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Yes. Buckle up, princess. Okay. So I will highlight that I've been running RunDisney since 2012. So, almost 15 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Almost 15 years. And I'll kind of go through some of the questions that you have here. Okay. So RunDisney is a athletic event sponsored by Disney World. It's a separate corporate entity that ultimately partners with Disney to provide these races. And so ultimately you show up and you run through Disney. Now, there's a few things I want to highlight here. Disney World is in Orlando. If you ever get caught, think Disney World OR, Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And then Disneyland is in California. So think LA, Disneyland. That's the one way to figure it out.
I like that.
Yes, because people get often confused. So here's what I will say, and I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. Right now, Disney World is the only park that is hosting RunDisney events.
Okay. So you can't do any in Anaheim.
Right. Okay. The last Disneyland race recently was the Disneyland half marathon weekend in January.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, Disneyland had actually been on hiatus since like 2018. And then I think they bought them back in 2022, 2023, something like that.
Okay.
Because Disneyland is trying to expand. There's a lot of construction. The other thing that I want to highlight for people is Disney World owns Orlando, right? Like Disney World pretty much owns Bay Lake, right? They have 4 parks. It's its own district. They are responsible for the fire state. Like any Disney historian will tell you, Walt Disney World is like its own country pretty much, right? Mm-hmm. So they own everything. They manage it. They control it. Obviously they work very closely with like police, et cetera, but they have a lot more access to, doing stuff because they own so much property there. Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned this on a previous podcast, and I forget with whomst, but Disneyland, you go there and you're literally walking in Anaheim and the entry gate is like on a neighborhood street, right?
Yeah, so it's like across from a McDonald's.
Right. So you have to think about the idea. And Disneyland is only 2 parks. And if you really think about it, it's built as 2 theme parks in a residential neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot more neighborhood and politics involved in Disneyland because you have to shut down Anaheim and all that type of stuff than in Disney World. So Disneyland currently doesn't have races, and then Disneyland Paris also used, or Europe, yeah, Disneyland Paris used to have races as well, but they ended because of COVID.
Okay. Did you do
So
any before COVID
I
in Europe?
did not. No,
Only these are only
I've only done
US.
Disneyland and Disney World. Yeah, I've only done
Got it.
US park races. So that is that. So Disney World has currently the big Disney World race weekend is marathon weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is held in January. There's a 5K, 10K, half marathon, and marathon. It is the only marathon held in a Disney park. Apparently, one year there was a Disneyland marathon. Apparently, you have to Google to see why it was not so great. But there
Okay.
was, but Disney Marathon Weekend is the big one, and we'll talk about Dopey and all that type of stuff soon.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Princess Weekend, which is actually being held this weekend, which is a 5K, 10K, and half marathon. To earn the challenge medal, you just need to run the 10K and the half marathon, the fairy tale challenge or whatever.
Okay.
Then they've always had Wine and Dine half marathon, which again, 5K, 10K half marathon, that's held in November. To earn the challenge medal, you just need to do the 10K and the half. I am leaving in April to do Springtime Surprise Weekend, which is a 5K, 10K, 10 miler. You are required to do all 3 races to get the challenge medal for that one.
Okay.
And that race has only been in existence for 5 years. So I will.
And that's going to be your 50th, the 10K of that.
The 50th will be my 10K.
Wow.
If technically, because they don't time the 5K, none of the 5Ks are timed, but I'm still counting it as my
Why?
50th. Just because people look at it as a fun run. And if looking back in Disney history, the 5K used to just not be as serious, right? Like,
interesting,
because like it used to just get like a vinyl medal. Now they actually like put effort into the 5K medal as well.
So it still counts. It's still like
yeah, it still
have
counts.
a time.
You just the thing is like you don't have an official time. They don't do an official time.
Oh, you just like start and finish. That's it.
Okay. Yep.
Got it.
And then so that's Disney World. Disneyland up until this time, they had Disneyland half marathon weekend, which 5K, 10K half. You could do the Dumbo Double Dare challenge. And then they recently introduced the Halloween half weekend, 5K, 10K half marathon, Thrills and Chills challenge. I did that both years. They did it.
So fun. Wait, so where do you run at Disneyland?
So Disneyland, for the 5K, you run through Disneyland Park. For the 10K, you run through Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure. And then for the half marathon, you start in Disneyland, run through California Adventure, and then you actually do the back half of the race through Anaheim.
Got it. Okay, so like half in, half out.
And again, one of the things I want to highlight to people, because you'll have people who've never run Disneyland be like, well, Disney World, you run through all 4 parks and blah, 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 blah. Again, because Disney World has the capacity to do that. Disney World can open Epcot to guests and still have the staffing and the mechanism to move runners through Epcot. Disneyland doesn't have that. Disneyland,
it's very tight.
Disneyland is small. Like just think about, like, it just isn't logistically possible for you to finish a half marathon in Disneyland, especially
unless you keep looping.
Right. And especially because Disney races are known for having a 16-minute minimum mile. Like, you only have to maintain a 16-minute mile after the last person has started. So if you think about it, Disneyland, if you're still running a half marathon when the park's open, there's just not the capacity there. So that's kind of the big difference. Now, other fun facts.
I am learning so much right now.
Disneyland history. Before they closed the races the first time, they had other races. Disneyland half they always had. They also had the Tinkerbell half.
Fun.
Which again, 5K, 10K, half marathon. Originally, a lot of these races mainly started as just a half marathon weekend, and then Disney started adding on additional races. Yeah. Now, the fun thing is Tink and Princess in Disney World used to be only females.
Oh.
And what would happen is if in the same calendar year you did Tink and you did Princess, you got your Coast to Coast medal. But what was special about the Tink Princess Coast to Coast medal was that it was pink.
Ooh.
Because the way it works is if in any calendar year originally it used to be if you ran the half marathon distance on both coasts in a calendar year, you got your coast to coast medal.
Mm-hmm.
Most recently, they changed if you ran a 10-mile or greater distance. So if you ran if you ran a 10-mile race and a half marathon on one coast. So there's that. So you have the coast to coast challenge. Disneyland also used to have the Avengers superhero half marathon weekend.
Oh,
I ran that every year that it was in existence.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first race. I did the 5K, 10K, and half marathon after I had torn both of my meniscuses and had recovered. So that was like my go back race. They also had Star Wars races.
What? Why used to? Like, why do they not have these anymore?
Well, so these all ended once Disneyland closed their races.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now, Disney World also had a Star Wars weekend. And what would happen is if you did the Disneyland, they would do it dark side, light side. I forget which coast was what.
That's so fun.
But if you did Disneyland and Disney World Star Wars races in the same calendar year, you got the Kessel Run Challenge medal, which is for Star Wars nerds. You know what that means.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, the one year that I did Star Wars weekend, because they had canceled Disneyland's weekend, you could still get the Kessel Run Challenge medal if you did a virtual half marathon. So I just found a local half marathon and ran it. So I showed up to Disney World and I got my Kessel Run Challenge. I got a virtual half marathon medal, right? And they don't check.
Yeah.
Plus I think did I do the 5K? And then plus the 10K and the half and the challenge medal that weekend.
Oh my God. So you get like a lot of medals.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And they're all like, don't they move and things? And
yeah. So they early on, like back in the day, the medals tended to stay the same. I think the only time that they really changed the medals was for marathon weekend, because they like had to vote, like, because my half marathon, the first one I ran, it's Donald is like the representative of the half marathon. And it's like his head, like,
oh, that's so fun.
Marathon weekend is really the only time that they used to change the medals. But now every weekend has new medals. Like the princess medal was the same for years. And then they were like, what? Because that's why
people like this running thing.
Yeah. People like this running thing. They want different type of medals. They want a different medal year over year. I'm sure it gives like some creative and opportunity to like really get creative with what a medal should look like. Mm-hmm. So every race weekend, it's kind of like, ooh, what's new? What's exciting? And, now some of them move. Like I definitely have some moving medals for sure.
So fun.
Some glow in the dark.
What?
Yeah. So they've definitely upped their game since 2012 for sure.
Oh, I bet. Do you have a favorite one?
Do I have a favorite one?
I mean, it's a tough question. You've done like a gazillion.
It is very much a tough question. Every medal tells a story. I mean, I'm gonna say, so the Disney Marathon medal, it was like almost, first of all, it's almost a pound.
Oh my God! So when you put it on, your whole head just like tilts forward.
To the extent that like they inspected it at TSA.
Wow!
They like took it out of my bag and they were like, "This is heavy."
They're like, actually, you have to stay in Florida.
And I would say then probably my other favorite medals, definitely the Hercules 10K from
that was a cool one. I loved seeing that
it was
on your Instagram.
It was the first time. And like the springtime surprise weekend is funny because my friend Colleen and I have always run it together. And every year we're like, this will be our last one. This will be our last one. And then they announce the themes and it's like, well, we have to do it. Like the one year she loves Tinkerbell. So the one year the 5K was the Neverland 5K. So she's like, I guess we need to go back. And then the year, I think either the year before that or year after that, Up was one of the featured medals, and she loves Kevin the bird. So we're like, oh, I guess we have to run. And then last year when they were like, I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I want to save money, like blah, 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 blah. And then they released Hercules as one of the medals. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, you needed it.
I was like, yeah. And then I wasn't going to do the Disneyland Halloween half this year, and then the challenge theme was Pain and Panic from Hercules.
Oh,
so
yeah. I mean,
and then And then Hades ended up being on the medal. So I was like, so
You need them all.
yeah. And then like some of the virtual medals are like amazing, like amazing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I bet. I love that. And do people I know the answer to this question. People dress up to run
Mm-hmm.
these. I immediately, when you said the Star Wars weekend, I immediately was like, I would do that dressed as like a stormtrooper. How fun would that be? It'd be so
Yeah.
fun.
But
I've never done anything like that before.
think about April in
Yeah, I'd be
Orlando,
dying
though.
for sure.
Yeah.
I'd be
Oh,
dying
I
for
mean,
sure. But like, it's all about the fun. You got to commit to the bit.
yeah. I mean, I will say that in the years that I've been running Disney, excuse me, the costumes have evolved like crazy. I applaud people who are very creative with their costumes, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would run like early on. I remember the one year I ran the Tower of Terror 10 milers Hercules, but really what it was like orange running shorts and orange tank top. I attached like a cape to the tank top and I had like a felt belt, right? So it was
Yeah.
always, and then one year again, I ran as Krunk from Emperor's New Groove, but again, it was,
It's so
purple
good.
shorts. Yeah. So it was like purple, like everything was very practical. And it
Yeah.
was just like, oh, my mom like threw felt on the shirt. So I looked like Kronk. And I think I lost the hat halfway through because I ran the Expedition Everest 5K, which they don't do anymore either. It was like an obstacle course race. Like it was always very practical.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, like, I don't know, like, and you just have to check out the RunDisney Instagram post race weekend. Like
Mm-hmm.
they will feature certain people. I don't understand how some of these people run in those costumes. Like,
Yeah.
and they're carrying stuff. And I love it. Like, it's very creative. And I think that is why RunDisney appeals to a lot more people now. And I like seeing it. It is just not something that I think I would ever be able to do because I just want to run and like
Yeah.
carrying
Yeah.
something or like trying to figure out is like just some of the intricate costumes. I couldn't do it, but I love the fact that people do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
like there are people who run in like onesies, like a Tigger onesie, a Chewbacca onesie. Like
Oh, I would love to do that, but to your point, I think I would just die.
you
I
would die.
can't.
You start like most of
No.
the time the race you start, it's like 70 degrees before the sun even comes up, and it's
I know.
90% humidity.
I know. That actually leads
Yeah.
me to my next question because I've been dying to hear from someone who does this like regularly as you do. What time do you actually get up and start all of these? Isn't it like really early?
Yeah, so I warn people when they're like, "Hey, I want to run Disney," or they're like, "Can I?" They're interested, and they're like, "Ooh, I would run Disney with you." I'm like,
Yeah.
one, you have to get on the approved travel partner list. Like, there are certain things,
That's
and
so
I'm like,
valid. That is so valid.
and I'm like, by the way, you have to get up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
because some people get up earlier because like they 2 a.m. because you got to wake up, you got to get ready because then you have to get on a bus by 3 a.m. to then bring you to the
It's
Epcot
crazy.
parking lot for the
Mhm.
pre-race party to, they do have character pictures there that you can line up for, or a lot of people now, because they want to get as far forward in their corral as possible, they forego character pictures and they just want to be right at the front when the corral's open.
Mhm.
Because the unfortunate thing is the further back you're in the letter corrals and the further back you're then in those corrals, it gets harder to kind of run the race because you have a lot of walkers or maybe
Yeah.
like slower runners in the back. So yeah, it's a 2 a.m. wake up call.
Wow. Wow. I think I could do it. I'd be down.
I
Seems
mean,
crazy.
every year I do it and I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this again. Right. And then like, you
Yeah, but you
also have to
can't
kind of,
stop now. You
no,
have
I
to get
can't.
to 100.
And I
Like
know
50 is great.
Well, 50
50 is
we'll talk.
great, but like you need to get to 100.
I don't know.
Okay, you say that now, but you're gonna be like, I need to do this again.
Well, and now the marathon, they move the marathon to start at 4:30. So you have to get up a little start at 4:30. Yeah.
So you're just like having to sleep all day pretty much, and then you get up at like 1.
There are people who go to the parks and literally like run these races on little sleep. I can't do that anymore. That is not my life.
I don't think I could do that at all.
For me, I'm like, let me start bringing it down around 6 o'clock. I want to be back in the room. I don't have to be asleep, but I want to be reading. I want to be chilling. I want to be like bringing it down.
Yeah.
so that I could try to go to sleep by like 8.
Mm-hmm. And what's
So
your food
that's
routine? Like, what do you eat there?
yeah. So that's like so, and this may be TMI. So I've kind of hit this good routine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Nothing's TMI, by the way.
yeah. So wake up, make a shitty cup of coffee in the hotel room,
Mm-hmm. Of course.
drink that to get things moving along.
Yep.
Maybe use the facilities before I leave.
Hopefully.
Usually I bring like 2 bananas, 2 Uncrustables with me.
Mm-hmm. Only the best.
Um, only the best. And then that I eat those kind of. I'll wait online for like a picture or two if the line's not too long. Do one last bathroom stop.
Yep.
Then I line up and I have one more Uncrustable and then I'm good to go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Uncrustable save the day. I say it all the time. All the time.
For the marathon, I needed to have a little more substantial stuff. So I brought some waffles along with me too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Uncrustables
Wow.
and bananas save the day.
I love that. I love that. That's
But yeah,
so
if you want to run Disney, like you have to get ready to be up at 2 a.m.
I think I could do it, me personally. But generally, yeah, I mean, I think that's for a lot of people would be something that would deter them.
And as much as people want to say that Florida, oh, it's hot. Florida weather is so unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
In 2017, I think it was, I ran the Disney half. We flew out just after a bomb cyclone. And Disney was having like a cold snap. The start line, I think, was like 30 degrees.
Oh my God.
My friend Jenna was running it with me. She almost didn't. She was like, "I'm not doing this."
Yeah, like
she
can't
almost
get out
like
there.
she almost did not
cold.
start. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that is so wild. That's so wild. Is there anything like weather related that's happened to you, where other than that, where you're like, I can't do this, or it's too hot, or it's raining, or?
So I mean, there have definitely been, and even the marathon this year, it just got hot. Like it just got hot. Like I was feeling good, but once the sun came up, like I just knew I wasn't on my way to a PR just because it got hot.
Yeah, I remember I was texting you, I think. Yeah. That was that was this marathon.
I will say the 1 year, which because I started fighting with people in the comments. So the one thing that you have to be mindful of with any race, but specifically down in Orlando, is they're prone to thunderstorms, right? And thunderstorms, what'll happen is they'll come and then they'll go, right? So it can be beautiful 1 minute, horrendous for like an hour, if that, and then it's beautiful again after the fact. So this was 2024. I had decided that I was going to get my coast to coast. So I was just going to run the half marathon at Disney World. And then I was going to fly to Disneyland and do all of those races and get the first coast to coast now that Disneyland races had been back. Right. So that was my goal.
Yep.
The night before the half marathon, RunDisney announced that they were monitoring the weather and that they anticipated very severe storms in the middle of the half marathon. So they were cutting the course. So
scary. Wow.
They were cutting the course. The amount of ignorance that I saw in the comments, like if you think about this, thousands and thousands of runners who need to get bussed to a start line, all the volunteers, and everyone's like, well, can't you just start the race an hour earlier? I know that I'm going to finish before the rain. Not to mention, like, you have highways with sound equipment. Like you have, like, because even if there's not characters, and some of the characters are, and yes, they do have characters throughout the course. Some of the characters are on the highway. Like not all the characters in the parks. And then you also have like marching bands. Like if there's no character, sometimes they'll try to do like fun lights, or they'll do like movie screens so you can see scenes from a movie, like water stations, all this type of stuff. It is not just about the runners. So everyone started like freaking out and like getting angry. So I went, and luckily I was trained. So I got cut about mile 7, which I knew was going to happen. And for me, they were like, even if we cut you, you're still going to get your coast to coast challenge medal. So don't worry about it.
So like,
I was
whatever.
Like, I'm fine. Not to mention I had just done Dopey the year before. And I was like, I know I can run a half marathon. What I will say, you had people running laps around the parking lot beforehand. You had people running laps in the parking lot afterwards. I got back to my resort and said, you know what? maybe I'll run another 6 miles. I
Yeah.
know I can do it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Walt Disney World resorts are runnable. Like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
The minute I stepped out of my room after using the bathroom, the downpour started, and I was like,
Nope. I'm good.
I'm good. And I recognized, so then I walked to the Skyliner because I had breakfast reservations at a Skyliner restaurant. Topolino was one of my favorite. And I'm literally walking to the Skyliner, and there are people who are running in the downpour. Like,
Wow.
because for them, and especially, I get it. Like, especially if they were going for Dopey, they want to know that the miles counted.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, God bless you. That is not the choice for me to make. I have a breakfast reservation. I'm going to stay warm. But what I do appreciate is that like Disney cast members were out there like cheering them on and all that type of stuff. So that was really the one time where I was like, I'm okay with it being cut. And then the one springtime surprise, the 5K race was cut by like half a mile. And I just thought I had done it really fast. And it's like, no, you can only run 2.4 miles. I was like, oh,
that's actually getting cut. Oh,
yeah. So
no, that's scary though. Like this might be a hot take, and I very much appreciate the cast members being out there cheering for people, but it's like, I think a lot of people today get so caught up in the hype that it's very hard for people to make smart choices like you did. Like, right. Yeah. You know me, I would be the first person to be like, literally not the other day, maybe this was like last summer when I was training, but like I had ended a run and my Strava for the week was at like 59.99. And I was like, well, there's no fucking way that I'm letting my weekly mileage be that. Like and I literally ran a 1/10 of a mile around my friend's apartment, around Sid's apartment. Literally, she has it on video because she's like, you are psychotic. Like I am that kind of person, but you will not catch me putting anybody else in danger. And I will not be putting myself in danger, like especially in a storm or something like that. And the same goes for like, if people are not feeling well, like girl, cut it. Like the world is going to go on.
This is what
you got to be safe.
What I say is that the same people complaining about them cutting a race because of potential lightning are the same people who would sue the Walt Disney World Company
1,000%
by lightning.
1,000%. Yep. You said it perfectly.
And like for me, and again, I come from a very privileged position because I've run a lot of these races, and I, in training, I've done distances longer than a half marathon. Like I know I can do it. And like, the truth of the matter is for me, it only becomes an issue if I make it an issue. Like I can 100%. Tell, oh, you ran the half marathon at Disney World. Well, I was supposed to, but it rained. So I only ran 7 miles. I can just end the story. Yep. I ran the Walt Disney World half marathon.
It's done.
It was great. Yeah, and then I flew to Disneyland. And I ran those races. Like that doesn't have to become part of my story. Yeah. I can appreciate why people did what they did. And I understand, like, I don't know, like there's part of it. What if that had happened during my Dopey weekend? I know. Like,
it's easier said than done when it's not yours,
But
I get that.
I'm also a judgmental bitch. So
apparently I am too today. I'm giving like 3 hot takes.
I have many thoughts and opinions on things. So
I know, I do too. And I just feel like people shouldn't be putting other people's lives in danger by being stupid, but that's just me. Okay. Well, let's talk about it. 'Cause you did Dopey. And for anyone unfamiliar with the Dopey Challenge, can you break down what that actually is?
Sure. So the Dopey Challenge was actually introduced if there are other truer Run Disney historians, I think I have the timing right. Run Disney introduced Dopey in 2013. Okay. And the only reason I know that is because when I signed up to run the marathon, all of my friends were like, oh, are you going to run Dopey? And I was like, I'm just trying to run a marathon here, my friends.
Yeah.
And I believe before they introduced Dopey, it was a 5K, a half marathon, and a full marathon on marathon weekend. Okay. So when they introduced Dopey, they also introduced the 10K, right? So it became a 4-event race weekend.
Yep.
5K, 10K, half marathon, and full marathon would constitute the Dopey Challenge. Okay. And because prior to Dopey, they had already had the Goofy Challenge, which was the half marathon and full marathon, you would ultimately leave Disney World after Dopey with 6 medals. the 4 individual race medals plus your Dopey challenge medal and your Goofy challenge medal.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of medals.
It is. And I remember saying to my friends, and 2013 was also the 20th anniversary of the Walt Disney World Marathon. Okay. So that's why my medal almost weighed a pound and it spun, right?
So cool.
Again, I didn't know all this stuff, right? And even back then, and that's the other thing I want to highlight, even back then, you could still sign up for these races like just online. Like now you have to literally, it is like the Hunger Games. It's like the New York Roadrunners queue. You have to log in and hope that you get through the virtual queue and that the race is still available for you to sign up for. Like it is insane. And I want to say, like, again, in 2013, I think that there were still registrations available. Like all I had to do was log in and be like, sure, like I'll do this. Like now it is like the Hunger Games with the virtual queue. So, and I remember very clearly joking with my friends, because in 2013 I turned 30. Mm-hmm. I remember very, very clearly joking with my friends, or maybe in 2012 I turned 40, but you get the point.
Yeah.
I remember joking with my friends like, hey, what I'll do is I will run when I turn 40 and I'll retire from RunDisney races. So like delaying it by 10 years. Mm-hmm. So lo and behold, 10 years later, I'm going to turn 40, or I turned 40.
Yep.
This was the really interesting thing I perceived about the Dopey challenge that year for 2023. One, we were still coming out of COVID. Mm-hmm. So you had to register you have to register like 9 months in advance. So technically you had to register in 2022 for the January 2023 race.
Right.
That 2020, and interestingly enough, I ran Princess Weekend in 2020 in February 2020, right before everything closed down, which was crazy.
Oh, wow.
So 2021, I don't think they had any in-person races, or maybe towards the end of 2021. But the reason why I think people got really hyped for this Dopey was because it was really going to be the first real like return to RunDisney, right? Mm-hmm. Like they had announced, I had run Springtime Surprise in 2022, in April of 2022. And if I remember correctly, and again, my timing may be off, but like you could take pictures with characters, but you couldn't get close to them. Right. So,
right. So it was like the post-COVID era.
Right. And they still had, I think, reduced capacity for the races anyway. Mm-hmm. So like, it just wasn't the same experience because they had to be mindful of exposure and blah, 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 blah. So I think the Walt Disney World 2023 was really the first one that it was going to really feel like a true RunDisney weekend. Mm-hmm. They had announced the themes, and it was very like 90s retro heavy. Mm-hmm. So everyone got super excited for that.
Love it.
It was also, it was also the 30th anniversary of Marathon Weekend, plus the 10th anniversary of Dopey. Right. So there was just
plus your birthday.
Right, exactly. There was all this attention around it. I think anticipation was super high, and like it was just, and then for me personally, again, I had turned 40, and it was, I was like, all right, I think I'm going to do this. I had recently left my CrossFit gym because they didn't align with my beliefs and who I was as a person anymore. I think a lot of people were still dealing with kind of like post-COVID body changes, weight gain, lack of athleticism, wanting to get back into it. And that was my thing. And I was like, the only way I'm going to be able to do this is if I get back into running. At that point I did have, I was a Peloton member since 2020, so I had the tread, I had the bike, but I really wanted to like get back into actual running. Yeah. So that was the decision. And what I will point out is I actually did not make it into Dopey to start.
Oh, really?
I don't know how to plan my life. I don't know if you know this, Ali G.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you've met me, right?
Same. I needed to. So I work in HR consulting. So I had a client who's doing their offsite in Austin, right? Mm-hmm. The travel day for Austin to get there for this offsite was conflicting with my ability to do some virtual training for a certification that I wanted to get. Okay. So I ultimately booked 2 days on my own dime to fly into Austin to do this training so that then I could be in Austin for this client offsite. So I flew out 2 days early or whatever. The registration for Dopey opened when I was supposed to be boarding my flight.
No.
So I'm literally
The
on
worst
my phone.
timing.
The worst timing. I am on my phone. I am on my laptop, hoping I don't lose Wi-Fi signal. I get on the plane. The flight attendant's like, you have to close your computer. So I close it just enough where it doesn't close completely. Then once we're in the air, I now paid for Wi-Fi for my phone and for my computer. So $16. Then RunDisney announces that the website had crashed. So they were like,
Lucky you.
Right. So that, well, no, because they're like, we're going to reopen the queue. We're going to reopen the queue at 12. Don't get out of line. Stay in the queue. They reopened it at 12. I finally get in. Dopey's available. I go to hit pay. It's sold out.
What?
A woman posts in one of the RunDisney groups and says, oh my God, I signed in at 12 o'clock for the first time on a whim and I only waited 15 minutes and I got into Dopey. Oh my God, what am I doing? That woman is my arch nemesis. She is my villain origin story.
We don't like her.
No.
We don't like her here on the Ali G Show.
Right. No, we don't. Whoever you are. I don't like you.
Whoever you are.
So long story longer, I throw my name on some like half-hearted charity lists. But again, at that point, charities are almost like pre-booked, right? Because some of them say, listen, we're going to have Dopey bibs. If you commit to us now, you're in. So we go through. So this was in May-ish. So my 40th birthday is in July of, it's July 1. I'm going down. It's July 4th weekend. I head down to Asbury to meet some friends. I went to the beach. I'm enjoying a beer. And my friend Jamie, who I know from high school, but we connected because she's a Peloton member. So we reconnected on Instagram. She's like, listen, do you still want to run Dopey? And I was like, well, it's a sign. It's my birthday month. So I was able to run with the AT Children's Project.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did it for charity. And yeah.
Wow.
I decided to run Dopey.
That's amazing. How was it physically, emotionally, logistically? Were you like dying for some sort of sleep at any point?
I mean, here's one of the things that I will say, like, even, and I'm sure you've had people say this before, like the race isn't like, it's really the training. The other thing that I would highlight is that if you're ever going to do something like this, the other things that I had to commit to myself is that one, I was going to train for it, because you can't just go run a 5K, 10K, half marathon and full marathon without training. You just can't.
Right.
Like, especially at my age, especially coming out as what I would say is probably like a deconditioned athlete. And I had run over the span of this time, I had run a bunch of RunDisney races untrained, but I was a CrossFit athlete. So I was at least still moving. I just hadn't trained my legs to be moving for that long. So that was the struggle. I knew physically I was strong enough to do it. My legs just weren't conditioned to be moving that much. Right. So I think for something like this, and this is some of the struggle that I see sometimes in some of these RunDisney groups that I lurk, is people are like, oh my God, I forgot to train. Like, no, like I had to commit to myself that I was going to train. Right. Like, in that you have to think of the time commitment for that. And in turn, I had to think about, am I willing to make the investment in a real coach? I had one coach before, after my meniscus surgery. She was great. But like, I knew that this was going to require an investment, and quality coaches are not cheap. Right. I was lucky in the position that I was to be like, okay, I can afford this. I can budget this. I can make this work for me. Right. Yeah. And I ended up coaching with Blair at Team Wilpers. The other thing that I want to highlight for people is I am single. I don't have children, and my job is pretty flexible. Yeah. So when you're going to do something like this, and I would say, 48.6 miles over 4 days is a lot, but I would say even if you apply this to someone who's doing their first half marathon or doing their first marathon, how are you going to actually commit the time to train? I am very lucky in that I can pretty much train whenever I want. Yeah. Right. Like, and what would happen is my speed runs would typically be on Wednesday. So Wednesday I would work from home. And what I would do is I would like do a midday, right? Because I don't like doing speed work on the treadmill. I like having my watch tell me like, okay, and it beeps, and now you have to run this much, and there's access to a track if it's an intervals run, and the track makes it easy. On weekends, I could for my long runs, I can run for 4 or 5 hours and not worry about like having to feed someone, not worry about like, so those logistically, like I would encourage anyone, like if I would encourage people to kind of take some of what I'm saying is like, when you make that commitment, like it was a commitment to myself.
Yeah.
Like it was a commitment. Like it was literally me saying to myself, Eric, you want to do this because you're not in shape. You haven't run, but you want to get back into running. You're enjoying, like I was enjoying the casual run workouts that I was doing on the tread. Right. So how do I give structure to a training program that's actually going to get me ready to wake up 4 mornings in a row and run, and like also like some people, like I think you also kind of have to negotiate for something like this. Like, are you really going for a PR? No, it's totally different running 4 races. Completion. Right. Like when we got to the weekend, she's like, Eric, you're going to want to like run fast for the 5K and the 10K. She's like, don't do that. Cause like you're going to
burn out.
And the other thing that I would highlight is I was at that point, I had committed, I was going to commit to almost 2 weeks at Disney World. Right.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, you have to show up at least on Wednesday to get your bib for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday race. I had decided that I wasn't going to do the parks after the races. I think I did the parks after maybe the 5K, or I did one park after the 5K or the 10K. But like I committed, be like, listen, if I'm going to make this a vacation, it's going to have to be after the races are done. So you fly in on Wednesday. So you're there Wednesday to Sunday. If you really want a positive experience, you're probably there to like maybe a full week, like a full week at Disney, maybe a little longer. So there's also that kind of commitment. And again, I have the PTO to do it. My boss understands. So those are some of the things that I would encourage people to really consider when they are doing something like this, because, it's hard. And there are tons of people who do not finish Dopey.
Yeah.
Like there are people in Facebook groups all the time. And some of it is, I trained my heart out. I just couldn't do it, the heat, whatever. And then there's a group of people who are like, I'm just going to wing it. And they learn that as a very tough lesson to learn. So I think there's a lot of upfront commitment that I had to make to myself in order to say that I did it and to really get across that all 4 finish lines.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that's such an underrated, like, reason or purpose to want to do something. And to your point, I think it's really, I personally know it's really hard to just train for a marathon or train. There were times when I was training for my ultra where I was like, how the hell am I gonna, it wasn't even about it wasn't even about like freaking out about race day. It was more so just like, how the hell am I gonna take 4 hours to run on Saturday, 4 hours to run on Sunday, fit in every single personal thing I have going on while I'm working like 10 to 12 hour days during the week. And it really comes down to like staying committed, finding that routine, and understanding that some other things are going to have to give at times.
And I think that, right. And I think the other thing is sometimes it's also recognizing that sometimes your training has to give, but it can't become a pattern. Right.
100%.
And that,
like, it's okay too, to let it give.
Right.
Like that's not, right. And that's not my approach at all. It's like, I missed a long run and whatever, I still made it, and it's fine. I was sick. People get sick. Things come up. You have to cut it short. I do it all the time, but it's like, or like once a training cycle, twice a training cycle, maybe, but it's, that might feel like you're doing it all the time, but you're not really. But just to your point, don't make a pattern of it.
And people need to also get like comfortable with like rest. Rest is important. Like I'm not talking like, like an easy like weightlifting workout. No, I'm literally talking about sitting on your couch, reading a book, laying on the floor and doing Shavasana.
Rotting.
Just so you don't lose just so you don't lose your like Peloton streak. Like I get that.
Yeah, of course.
But like, that's the other thing. And like, it's also like listening to your body, right? Like you said, like, okay, I'm not feeling well. Like this long run, something's twinging. I'm sick. I'm not going to do this long run. And then just accepting the fact that guess what, that long run didn't happen. That doesn't mean then you have to figure out how you're going to fit that 15 miles in next week. Like
Right. It
there's just a
doesn't
lot of
equate. It's just
learning.
like
Yeah.
let it pass by.
Yep.
Truly let it
Take it.
pass by, because
Yep.
I literally, and not to get sidetracked here, but like I had that exact moment happen this weekend. Like I was in St. Lucia for a week. I was still running and working out, obviously. The grind doesn't stop because I'm on vacation. And
Right.
I'm not like I have to earn my route time. It's more so that I was just like, I need to stay on track, because if I miss even one day, it feels like an eternity to me. That one day that's programmed. Obviously, I have rest days. Ran all week, but when I got there last weekend, I missed my Sunday run because it was a whole travel day. I was going to get up early, and then I was like, why am I going to be exhausted? I'm not going to get up early. I'll push it to
Yep.
Monday. Pushing it to Monday was my choice, but that meant that I was running Monday through Saturday.
Yep.
And pushed my long run to this past Sunday when I was home, but I was traveling again for work. And I was like, I can't make it into Brooklyn. I was supposed to go to Brooklyn. I'm like, I cannot make it into Brooklyn. I ended up doing 15 out of my 18 miles. And I was like, you know what? My body is tired, because in St.
Yeah.
Lucia, I was running and I wasn't sleeping every night. Like
Right.
every week when I'm home, I run every morning, but I'm sleeping at night. But obviously I wanted to be a part of the group and hang out with friends and whatever, enjoy all the activities. So it was like I was running and getting it done, but I wasn't sleeping. So by the time Sunday hit, I'm like, like I hit 15 miles and I was like, I'm done. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's not like old me would have been like, oh, you're giving up. But new me is like, you're good. Like you're gonna like push yourself back if you keep trying to like push through this run right now.
Yeah, I remember there was just right before we headed to taper for Dopey, Blair had programmed like something small, like 8 to 10 miles. And I was staying with my friends and they have this great running path by their house.
Mm-hmm.
But it was this weird weather situation where it was before Christmas. So this was, 3 years ago or 4 year, whatever. And the like Christmas, like the 23rd, it was like 50 and raining, right? Yeah. And they had predicted that on Christmas Eve, what was going to happen was that the temperature was going to bottom out and everything was going to freeze over. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Blair, I'm not, it's Christmas Eve. Yeah. 2, I'm not, she's like, okay, just cycle for an hour, like hop on the bike. Yeah. So I was like, okay, like, and that's like, it's an example of like, okay. And there's just certain things like weather conditions, different things ultimately impact, but we and I'm sure, I've heard this tons of like interest compounds. It compounds over time. Right.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. No, it's so true. I can't even tell you how many long runs I've done on the treadmill this training cycle because of the amount of snow we have in New Jersey. So, I feel that all too well. Well, I love that about, now I'm jumping back to Dopey. I love all that. And I think that's great advice for people. And truly, like I said before, I think it's so underrated to like sit down and understand why you're doing something as opposed to just winging it. Like, listen, there's a time and a place to wing it for sure. I am all about that. Like I am fully winging a marathon in like 3 days because I cannot go another weekend where I don't have a long run route that's like, I know I'm going to get through it. I know I'm not going to have any issues. And I'm just like, I'm running 22 miles. I will literally walk the last 4. I really don't care. It's more so that like just for the peace of mind, less stress, less pressure. In that case where it fits in, I'm like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. But for something like this, I really appreciate you sharing that like the commitment to yourself is so important because I think it can be easily missed for sure.
Yeah. And like to talk about like the actual like 4 days. Yeah. I think, and this is why I think training is so important. Like obviously it was emotional. Like, I can't believe I did it. Like, I remember just like, and I tend to cry at every finish line. So this is not anything new to me. But I very clearly remember, I think finishing the marathon and I was just weeping and I was hot and whatever. And a woman's like, are you okay? I was like, I'm just emotional. But like the other thing that training helps you condition your mind to is like, I can do this, right? So there comes a point, and again, so with the marathon part of Dopey, like the 5K, 10K half, I was like, whatever, this is fine.
Right.
Like I can do this. Like it's really the marathon because 1, they were predicting hot weather. They also interviewed a guy before the race started, like, cause they have like guy on the street and they have their announcers,
Yeah.
and literally, oh my God, we're talking so long, but I love it.
I'm sorry.
They
Do
interview.
you have to go?
No,
Okay,
I'm good.
Okay,
I
good.
don't want to bore your listeners.
I love this.
The alley. Do you have a fan name group like the alligators, the G spots, anything like that?
Yo, the
If you have
alligators. Wait, the
alligators,
G
maybe?
spots is so
The
good.
G-spots.
I'm making that a reel, and we're gonna make people
What up?
vote.
What up, G spots?
What up, G spots?
It's the alley G. So anyway, so they have a guy on the street who's doing interviews, and this one guy, they're like, oh, I want to talk to this guy. Oh, you're running Dopey. Why are you running Dopey this year? Now, mind you, they've already predicted hot weather. And the guy goes, well, last year I got swept and I didn't finish Dopey because it was too hot. So here I'm back to do it again. And I'm like, that is the worst person you can talk to right now.
That, and like, literally, why would you do it again?
Right.
I mean, I'm all about trying again, but like, if it's going to be equally as hot, why?
Yeah. At that point, I had like cut my like shirt sleeves off. The shirt ended up not being what I wanted it to be, but either way. So I remember, so there was a few things that happened. So if the thing with RunDisney is they have the people called the balloon ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they're like officially sanctioned by Disney, but ultimately it is a group of women who maintain the 16-minute mile. Right.
Okay.
So they
like on purpose.
Yes.
Okay.
They are literally the last people to cross the start line, and they have balloons attached to them. And ultimately, if you want to finish, you have to keep pace with them. Right.
Got it.
So if you fall behind them, you get swept. So what happens is at one point this year, the year I ran it in 2023, I'm at like mile 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm running into Animal Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I'm leaving, I'm around mile 18, mile 19. I see the balloon ladies and I start to panic. But then I realize, Eric, they are 4 miles behind you and they are walking. Yeah. Now, mind you, at that point I had taken some walk breaks, but I'm like shuffle jogging, whatever, because it was still getting really hard. But like that was kind of this like scary moment for me, but also just a reminder of like the difference in your pace is literally just like turning over your foot a little faster. Right. Because then I would even look at my watch and it'd be like, oh, you're walking like, it would tell me like, oh, you're doing like an 18-minute mile. But then like I would like start shuffle jogging and it would immediately shoot back to like you're averaging like a 14. So like, you kind of have to do some of that mental math. Mm-hmm. And then I very much remember hitting like mile 22 and I enter Epcot and I get emotional. I get emotional thinking about it now. Like, because I've trained for it, you get in your head, be like, Eric, you've run 18 miles, you've run 20 miles, you've run 22 miles. Like you can do this. And I just remember entering Epcot because you run around World Showcase. Mm-hmm. And I just remember entering Epcot and being like, you're going to finish. Like you are so close. And that's what I love about finishing in World Showcase or in Epcot, because once you're in Epcot, you're going to do it. And
you're good.
that was really a moment. And I remember running and being like, does anyone have a beer? And someone gave me like half their beer. So I'm literally chugging a beer as I go to finish the Dopey challenge. And I just remember crossing the finish line and being like, holy crap, I did it. Like, and I will always remember my friend Colleen. She is an ultra runner. Mm-hmm. She has done Badwater twice.
Oh, I'm jealous.
She is insane. And I remember her messaging me, or like, I think she messaged me on Instagram and she's like, Eric, like, I want you to be really proud of yourself because you did like, that's like ultra running stuff.
Oh.
And like, and again, like when you think about who I was as a kid mm-hmm. and the fact that now like I am someone who just like runs for fun and has accomplished so much. And has done the Dopey challenge, a 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon. Like that is insane to me. And the idea that in turn, I didn't point out when we talked about this in 2014, I remember when I ran the New York Marathon for the second time, I hit mile 20. I said, I'm never doing this again. Like I'm never running a marathon again, ever. Mm-hmm. Cause I just remember like crying and being like, I want to go home. I don't want to do this. This is stupid.
Yeah.
And then, years later, making the choice to do it. And then in turn, choosing to run it again. So I ran the Disney Marathon this past year in
Mm-hmm.
2026,
Yeah, you
which was
did.
crazy. Finishing and then saying, "Oh, I have another marathon in me," which I really don't have a choice because I'm running Sydney in August. So
Right.
that there was no choice in it, but like, and again, like it was I had to commit to training.
Yeah.
And I really was trying to PR this marathon because I think my marathon PR is now like 5:47, which I earned
Mm-hmm.
1 year in New York.
It's
I like,
amazing.
and again, but to be fair, and this is the thing I want to point out, this was again 10 years ago. I could run a marathon untrained and be okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
now not so much.
Now, yeah.
Now not so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No,
yeah.
for sure. Wow. I love that. I love that. And I love that it came so full circle for you. And I mean, I'm so proud of you every day, but it's just like, it makes me smile so much. And you almost made me cry on my own podcast, which is like insane. I always cry on the pod. So, okay. And I guess this is a great segue to kind of wrap things up here. Not that I want to wrap anything up because I'm loving this so much, but how do you think with all of that, right? Like as a kid growing up, soccer, all the sports, all the pressure, not really feeling ultra comfortable in that space. Then you run 10 miles, then you run the half, then you get into the Run Disney scene. Like when you line up for your 50th Run Disney race this year, what do you think that's going to represent for you?
Well, one, I appreciate the fact that like you kind of encouraged me to really look because I probably would have let it pass and not know.
Yeah.
Right. I think that I'm just so happy that like I have this thing that still brings me joy. Right.
Yeah.
And that I still get to do, that I still enjoy doing, that, even running the marathon this year, like just a random woman giving out beers in Animal Kingdom, like
Yeah.
another random woman who was waiting for someone with a beer in Epcot. And I was like, can I have that? And she's like, yeah. And like, just there are certain moments, like, different races, depending on how I'm feeling, I really try to cheer on the other runners and just kind of being able to have that type of community. Even in the marathon this year, there were these two friends running together and we would always like signal each other when they would pass me and we'd say hi to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was this other guy who was either there with like maybe his girlfriend, maybe his like best friend, I don't know, maybe he was into me, but at one point like he ran past me and I had my headphones in, but he's like, shake and bake, man, shake and bake. I'm like, you're motivating me to keep going, like you're motivating me to keep going. And then I ran the other thing is I ran the marathon, I had this hat on which says you can go the distance, no, it says I can go the distance, and then my shirt on the back said you can go the distance. And when we finished, I was getting my medal and I had seen this guy running and he was in like a like traction brace, like a pretty significant like knee brace.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, listen, man, like your shirt got me going. Like I needed to see that.
Wow.
And I was like, ooh. So
That's
it's
so cute.
fun. It's fun. It's different, but I know Disney, like I know it's predictable. And the unique thing is I'm not heavily invested in like the Run Disney community,
Mm-hmm.
just because of like, I mean, early on I had like friends in that group, in that community, and it's just not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have a group of runners that I run with. Obviously I run with Colleen a lot of the time. And I'm always happy to introduce other people to Run Disney. Again, have to be an approved travel partner, have to be ready to get up at 2 a.m. and then go to a park once the races are done and spend lots of money on food and drinks.
Of course.
But yeah, like it's something that I've really enjoyed and that I've always been able to kind of come back to, and recommitting to, Dopey and running, obviously connected to like Peloton and all that type of stuff. It's gotten me a different type of community, and it's really allowed me to reflect on the past, 20 years of running, if not, whatever, 10, I can't do math. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm going to be cheering so loud for you, as you know. I always am, from afar, typically.
But like, and
but
I will say yeah, but it's also like the other thing, thank you. But it's also like the privilege of being able, like I told my coach, Mike, I was like, listen, because he
shout out
told me,
Mike, by the way.
Shout out Mike. We love him. he was like, listen, if for Sydney, we're going to have to start training in April. And I was like, listen, I'm privileged enough to not have to train for the 5K, 10K, 10 miler.
Right.
Like I was like, I don't
Right.
need, I mean, I just started training again just to rebuild the foundation.
Of course.
But there's no goal for these races, but I know that I can go and take them on, like, and
Right.
be okay.
Right.
Right. So like
you have the foundation.
that, yeah. So that's the one thing, you know, because I can just hop on the tread or whatever, take a class and be like, all right, I can do this.
Yeah.
Today I ran outside, even with the snow. It was crazy.
I know when you texted me that, I'm like, damn, I'm proud of you. I'm really proud of you because I am tread through and through in this weather.
It was more, it was actually got kind of nice, especially when the sun was out. It was more just I was worried about the road conditions, but
yeah,
I was all right. I didn't get hit. I didn't
That's
slip
true.
or slide or anything. Yeah.
Well, thank God you didn't, because it's time for the hot lap.
Oh, okay.
Finally, I've been waiting all episode, the whole track, for your hot lap. So give me a running hot take. It can be Disney race, race culture, metal obsession, costumes, marathons, literally anything. And people don't have to agree. This is your time to shine.
Okay.
Hit me with it.
I don't want to get you, banned from all podcast platforms. So I will say I race medal. I will say I have two hot takes. I race races for the medals. I love medals.
Love that for you.
I will not run a 5K generally unless there's a medal.
Mm-hmm.
But I make an exception for summer 5Ks because I do the summer virtual series through Disney. Okay. So I rationalize that the 5K that I'm running is earning me that Disney medal. So that's number one. I once had someone who messaged me to buy my Oswald the Lucky Rabbit medal from me. I was like, absolutely not.
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
No, my medals are all hung up. I am just someone who's always going to keep my medals. I understand why people get rid of them. Or like, yeah, whatever. Nope, I keep my medals.
I don't.
You don't keep your medals?
No, I don't understand people that get rid of them.
Oh, yeah, no.
I can't.
They're like, oh, it's in a closet. I'm like, hell no.
Hell no. I'm hanging that up. Okay, give me another one.
So this is what I will say about RunDisney. If you are considering it, it has evolved over the years. I think that what started as an athletic event that was held at Disney parks has evolved into a Disney fan event that just so happens to involve running.
Ooh, very hot take. I love that.
And I want to highlight that one of the big proponents, so Jeff Galloway, who's an Olympian, he is the walk run creator of the walk run method.
Yep.
He has lapped me in races with the walk run method, right? So what I'm going to say is not related to people who choose to walk run, or ultimately people who are in their athletic or fitness journey who are ultimately walking these events, right? I think that there is this change, and where I would like to see RunDisney kind of meet somewhere in the middle is recognizing that it is, yes, an all athletes event, but if we're going to say that it is a race for all level athletes, some of the people who approach it differently need to recognize that there are people who want to run it seriously and who treat it like a race. And I think that's been one of the biggest conflicts. And it happens every race weekend. There's always someone who says, walkers on the right, runners on the left. And it turns into this big argument. And for me, and one of the big messages from one of the announcers is always be kind. And I agree, because I have no idea what anyone around me is going through. But what I need runner etiquette to come back. And I just need people to realize that, yes, it is an event for all athletes. But when we say all athletes, we also need to consider the people who want to run it and run it fast, and who are trying, maybe not PRing, because it's very difficult to PR a Disney race, but for people who really want to attack it as if it were a race. And I want to highlight one thing. This debate was raging during marathon weekend, and a woman had posted and said, if people want a serious race or a serious marathon, they should run Chicago, New York, whatever. And again, because I like to fight with people in the comments, I said, hold on. I said, any marathon is serious And training for any marathon should be serious, regardless of the location.
Absolutely.
Disney can be fun. And RunDisney does give you the opportunity to have fun. Like you and I know fast runners, people who are fast, who qualify for Boston, right?
Yeah.
Who decide that Boston, the World Majors, they're going to hammer it, and Disney is their fun race. That is great. There are people who ride Expedition Everest. There are people who, take every character picture, and I can appreciate that about RunDisney. But at the end of the day, it still is an athletic event. Agreed. And it still should be treated with the respect that I think the marathon deserves, regardless of whether it's like a serious marathon, because running a marathon is serious. And I said to that woman, I said, listen, I took this seriously. Like, me training for this means that I took it seriously. And it's not unreasonable for me to expect, just for safety, my own safety, my own well-being, the safety and well-being of other runners, of the medical staff, the medical crew, the volunteers. Like, it may be an event at Disney, but it is still very serious.
Agreed.
So that's why, like, when you say, oh, well, what's race 100 going to be? I tell myself that after Springtime Surprise, I'm going to take a break in 2027. But
okay, I love that. Knows? I didn't mean to trigger you with that.
No, I appreciate, honestly, I appreciate being able to say it, because I think sometimes I feel like I'm screaming into a vacuum. But I
agree with you.
And I want listeners to understand that, like, RunDisney is super fun. And again, I have been the person who believed I was ready for the race and believed I was in a position, and I've benefited from the 16-minute mile, right? There are times when I thought I was ready and I hit a wall. So I had to walk the last half of a race and finish a half marathon in 3 hours and 30 minutes, barely making it. I get it. I'm not criticizing that. Ultimately, what I want people to be reminded that it is still an athletic event. Treat it like an athletic event, whatever that means to you, because it is an event for all athletes at all levels, from the first person to the person who's number one in corral A, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I think, to your point too, first of all, completely agree on all of that. I think everybody's race can and should be individual to them, whatever their goal is, whatever they're feeling like, right? It could be a fun run. It could be a serious race. Just because it's Disney doesn't mean that it always has to be fun. Like, it can be serious for someone. Someone can, it might be hard to PR, but people can go for the PR still if that's the adventure that they're choosing. But I think, to your point about people reacting and making comments, it just boils down to having respect for each other as athletes, right? Like, if I don't care if you're walking, I don't care if you're crawling on your hands and your knees, like, we're all doing the same thing. We're all doing the same distance, but just respect the people around you that are not on that same journey, right? Yeah. Like, and I'm not just being like, oh, move to the side of the road because you're walking isn't a knock on you. Like, again, you're still walking 26 miles. You're probably more exhausted doing that than I am, because it's more time on your feet, right? As opposed to somebody running. But it's like, just have respect for the athletes and the people around you who took the time to train, and, again, train whether you're running or walking, because you still have to train regardless. And yeah, I don't know. I just think that there's such a lack of respect these days in the running world sometimes, and it makes me really upset.
And I think sometimes the interesting thing is, because then there were some of the common responses, oh, well, just do a local race so you can get a better corral placement. And the unfortunate thing is the way that the corrals are set up, like, and especially for the marathon, because I had to do it for charity again this year, I submitted my proof of time on time, but I still submitted it late. And the way the corral system set up is, if you submit your proof of, because it would have put me in a further up corral, right? Which means there's a greater chance of there being more runners than, say, run walkers. You're just straightforward walkers, right? People who can maintain a faster pace. The problem is by the time I submitted my proof of time, all of the other corrals were already full. So it's also like a corral system issue, right?
Yeah,
like, and I get it. And it's not fair. How do you manage that volume of runners? But then you also, like, I guess apparently what happens there. So there's just a lot of different factors that influence into, But a friend of mine also said to me one day when I was kind of complaining, she goes, Eric, you know that this is the reality of RunDisney. You either do it or you don't. And I was
Right.
like,
Right.
that is also
That's
true.
true. You're
And
kind of
I'm
going
still
in with that expectation.
and I am still signing up. So you know
Yep.
what? That just may mean that the first mile or two, as much as I want to take it easy, I may have to kind of rock it out just to get in front of the crowds.
It's true. Wow, I love that. Thank you for participating in the hot lap. Two very good hot takes.
That's my little sassiness. Hopefully I don't get too many haters.
If anybody's hating on you, they have to go through me first. I say that
Okay.
all the time because, you're my favorite Eric, and nobody should come for you. You've done enough of these things to have an opinion. I know Eric is my producer.
I know.
Is that why you're?
Yeah.
He knows.
Okay.
No, yeah. Well, anyway, now that you called me out on my own podcast, final question. If you had one song to add, you knew this was coming, so I'm excited. If you had one song to add to the official Ali G Show playlist, a song that represents your running journey or your main character energy, your comeback story, what would it be?
So I thought long and hard about this, but I have to go with the good old standby, and I'll show you my arm tattoo. Obviously, it's reverse on camera. Mm-hmm. So I honestly, I would have to say Go the Distance from Disney's Hercules. I remember seeing that movie when it came out when I was 15, 16. I remember going to see the movie, and, there's a line where it's like, it's ultimately about someone, a hero, who is finally going to get the hero's welcome he deserves. And people are going to be like shouting his name. And, and Hercules is really kind of lost in the world because he's half God, half human, but he's on Earth and everyone sees him as an outsider because he's very strong, but he's clumsy. So he keeps ruining things. And then he finally, his whole thing is I know there is something bigger and greater for me out in the world, and I can go the distance. Right. And that stuck with me so much, especially as I got older. And then when I started running, it's a little on the nose, but that has encapsulated my entire journey. And I think about, even running the New York Marathon for the first time, and people say they're put your name prominently on your shirt so that people can cheer for you. And it was just this actualization of hearing people cheer my name and knowing that they were just that, even though the effort was not that great and the training wasn't that great, but it was this real life encapsulation of everything that I had tried for kind of, we talked a little about how I was an outsider and I felt like an outcast in a lot of different aspects of my life. And running was kind of this thing where this person outside of Central Park has no idea who you are. And now they're cheering you on. Right. So that will always be, if that is the song that I would add. And it's a song that ultimately, I like when people see Hercules stuff, because I also have a Hercules leg sleeve tattoo.
Yeah. It's amazing. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's amazing.
Yeah. So that long story longer, that it encapsulates everything. It is whenever I'm running and I'm struggling, I look at my arm and I'm just go the distance, you got it. Some people think it's from Field of Dreams and I have to set them right.
You have to, obviously.
I do. I'm like, no, have we met? Do you think I'm a baseball movie fan?
From Hercules.
Yeah, come on, get it. Do you not see what I've inked all over my body? So
hello.
I would definitely add that. And I just want to point out what I will say for fun is the Lonely Island Michael Bolton Taylor Jack Sparrow song.
That's so good.
That is just so fun. It's so stupid, but it's on my run list. But yeah, Go the Distance for sure. And now hopefully whenever someone hears it, they think of me.
I love it. Oh my God. Well, I don't want this to end, but we've been yapping for 2 hours.
I know. I feel bad for your editor and your listeners, but listen, to
we
anyone,
we needed it.
We did, because we haven't seen each other, because you're vacationing, you're a jet setter, you're going everywhere, and every day it's oh, where's Allie running today? And the other thing too is for the men who are listening, the very attractive, well-built, athletic men with good credit scores, they at least know that I can maintain a conversation.
That's
dinner.
right. And I still think that you should, I will encourage everybody to submit an application.
Yep.
And we're going to see how this goes.
Yeah. I
want to vet your suitors though.
They have to live in New Jersey or New York City.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be a runner, obviously.
Because
and they can't hate Disney adults.
Yes. You know what? Okay. Send me your set of standards.
Well, here's the thing. I'm on Hinge, right? I'm on Hinge because a group of us were challenged to try to go on a date before March 1st. And as I'm going through Hinge, not a lot, but a good portion of the guys are like, what's your most irrational fear? And they list Disney adults. And I'm like, X.
Bye.
I'm not that scary.
Bye. You're not scary. Bye. Oh my God. Okay. Well, that's going to happen. I love everything that you shared with us. Thank you so much for coming on the pod. I'm like smiling ear to ear because I just am so excited for this to come out and everybody to hear from you and experience what you have shared and that I already know and some I didn't know. So thank you for coming on and thank you for sharing.
Thanks for having me, Ali G. And to the G spots, listen, we love you, fam. For the loyal G spots out there.
That's right.
Keep it real. Keep listening.
You heard it here first. That's our nickname. You are the best. I can't wait to have you on again. And I will talk to you probably in like 30 seconds when we're done recording.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Ali G Show fam, that's a wrap on today's track. Huge thank you to Eric for coming on the pod and sharing his story so openly, from navigating body image and identity in the 90s to finding running in adulthood to starting lines at Disney into something, turning all of that into something bigger than just medals. So this episode is such a reminder that running doesn't belong to one type of body, one type of background, one pace, one reason. It can, start from a lot of different sources. If today's track resonated with you, take that energy with you into your next run, walk, lift, ride, whatever movement looks like for you this week. And if you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the pod with a friend or a training partner. It truly helps the show grow. You can find me on Instagram at @the_Ali G Show, and be sure to follow Eric. I will link everything you need to know about Eric below as he heads into his 50th RunDisney start line this spring. As always, keep moving with purpose, keep chasing the joy, trust the process through the highs and the lows, and remember, you are never running alone. I will catch you all on the next track of the Ali G Show. Bye.